Well, hello again. Welcome to our reading of the Greek New Testament. We're reading Luke's Gospel, chapter 22, and we're up to verse 47. It's quite a long chapter, this one. This section is the betrayal and arrest of Jesus, and this is in Matthew, Mark, and an account of it also in John. Etiautu laluntes idou oklos, kai holegomenos udas hes ton dodica pro erketa autus kai engisento Jesu philesai auton. So genitive absolute. So while he was still speaking, behold, a crowd, and the one Judas, one of the 12, the one having been mentioned, he came ahead of them. This is from pro-erchomai, and it's imperfect, so he was coming ahead of them, that is the people in the crowd, and he drew near to Jesus, philesai, to kiss him. Now phileo is of course to love, but the earlier use of phileo in classical Greek meant to kiss, and it does here, and it does sometimes have that meaning in the New Testament as well. So we get the infinitive here. He drew near, engisen from engisdo. It's really a so as to clause here, so as to kiss him. So a purpose clause without just the bare infinitive. Jesus de epen auto iuda philemi ton huion tu anthropu paradidos. And Jesus said to him, Judas, are you now this is a participle, sorry, no, this is not, this is a present second person. It's didomi, didos, didosi, so this is second person. Are you betraying the Son of Man, philemity, with a kiss? Idontes de hoi periauton to esomenon epan, curie a pataxomen in makare. And those around him, having seen that which is about to be, so having seen what was about to happen, they said, Lord. Now it's an A here, it's and this is a future. It's literally, if we will strike with the sword, with the dagger, with the small sword. So it's something like shall we, even though it's future. So it's an A plus a future in a doubtful question in place of the usual subjunctive. So slightly different construction here. So it's something like shall we strike with a sword. Kai epataxen hes tis ex auton tu archihereos ton dulon, kai ephelen to us. And a certain one, again the ace here is not very good, certainly not classical Greek, you just use tis, but a certain one from among them struck the servant or the slave of the high priest, kai aphelen from aphireo, this is the aorist, halon. So he removed, he cut off or took away tous, the ear, it's third declension, neuter noun, us, otos, autu, and it's his ear, the todexion, the right ear, so cut off his right ear. Apokrites deho Jesus epen I ate heos tuto. And Jesus having answered, he said, now we get this funny expression here. The meaning of this is rather obscure. It's possibly addressed to the disciples, and it either means, this is from iao, to leave. So it's either leave things alone up to this point, or it may be addressed to the adversaries, meaning something like excuse what has just happened. It is a very ambiguous phrase here, so we could just be make it very vague and say leave things as they are, leave things be. Kai hapsamenos to otiu I asato auton. And having touched the ear, Luke likes variations, so we've had us otos, it's the third declension word for the ear, and now we're getting, I think it's otion, which is a more regularized form for the word for the ear, and haptomai, this is the aorist participle, takes a genitive. So having touched his ear, he healed him. Apen de Jesus prostus paragenomenus ep auton archihieres kai strategus tu hieru kai presbyterus hos epileiston ex eltheti metachairon kai xulon. And Jesus said to the ones who were present with him, is probably the sense here, the ones who were coming, the ones who were coming against him, I think, perhaps with the epi, the chief priests, so he says to them that they, i.e. the chief priests, the generals, but it's really the military officers, I think, of the temple and the elders. And he says, have you come out as against a lestes, this is the first declension masculine noun, a robber or thief, with swords and xulon, literally wooden things, i.e. clubs, often translated as cudgels. They're simply wooden bats, from xulon, the word for wood. Kathemeron ontos mu meth humon ento hero, uk exetanati taskaras ep eme, al haute estin humon hehora kai hexousia tu scotus. Now we get a genitive absolute, so me being daily with you in the temple, so it's something like when I was with you daily in the temple, u exetanate, this is to stretch out, from ektano is the verb. You did not stretch out your hands against me, so you didn't raise a hand against me. Allah, but this is the hour, this is your hour, and the authority or power to skotos of darkness. So this is to skotos, it's a third declension noun. This is the genitive, of course, of the third declension noun. You also get hoskotos as a masculine, but you get toskotos as a third declension noun as well. So this is the hour, this is your hour, and the authority, the power of darkness. We then get the famous denial of Peter, which is also in Matthew, Mark, and John. Sul labontes de auton egagon kai es egagon es tenoikian tu archihereos, hode Petros ekoluthe macrothen. And they having arrested, this is from sul lambano, has many meanings, one of which is to arrest. So having arrested him, they led him, and they led him into the house. So, but what we would say, they led him away and brought him into the house of the chief priest. Hode Petros ekolu, and Peter was following, imperfect, from akolutheo, macrothen, from afar. Peri absanton de pur en mesotes aules kai sung kathisanton ekathe to hopetros mesos auton. And now we get another genitive absolute here without a subject. Now you do often get that in classical Greek. You occasionally get a genitive absolute where you've got the participle in the genitive and you've got no subject. Don't get it that often in New Testament Greek, but we're getting it here. So we've got to understand our tone. So they having lit, a fire in the middle of the courtyard, and again another part of the genitive absolute, they having sat down together, Peter, and now we get our main verb, was sitting in, we get an adjective with Peter, a middle one of them, so it's in the midst of them. Again, this is really quite good Greek. You often get this mesos used in this way. So when they had lit a fire in the middle of the courtyard and were all sitting together, Peter was sitting in their midst, in the middle of them. Idusa de auton paidiske tis kathemenon prostophos kai atenissa sa auto apen kai hutos sun aute ato ain. And a certain paidiskane, this is a serving girl, having seen him, that is Peter, kathemenon, sitting at the fire, literally at the light, and artenesasa, this is from artenisdo, which is to stare at someone closely or look intently. And of course that's the point about the light here, so sitting beside the fire, beside the light, looking intently at him, as she said, also this man was with him, that is with Jesus. Hot der ernesatot legon, uk oida auton gunai. This is from Nehemiah with an alpha, and he denied it, saying, I do not know him, Gunai, a woman. This is the vocative from Gunai. You're often told this is an irregular vocative, but often with some of these, there are other examples as well, this third declension nouns, the stem of, it's Gunai gunaikos, the stem of it's gunaik, and you can often form the vocative by simply taking that stem and chopping off the last consonant, and you get this gunai as the imperative. Kai meta brachu heteros idon auton ephei, kai su ex auton a, hode petros ephei anthrope, uk ami. And another one, so meta brachu, after a short period of time, another person, having seen him, said, and also you are, this is from Amy, ex auton, one of them, you're from their company. Hode Petros Ephe, and Peter said, O man, uk Amy, I'm not. Kai diastases hose oras mias alos tis di iskurizdato legon, ep aletheas kai hutos med autu ein, kai ga Galileos estin. And diastasis, this again is a genitive absolute here with horas and mias. So we get a genitive absolute. It's so diastemi is to stand through or pass through, pass by. So and hose is about or approximately. It's hos plus a, as if, hence approximately. And so it's something like about an hour, the hora. So about an hour, about 1 hour passed, and a certain other one, diascorizdato, which is a classical word. It's only here, it turns up in Acts as well, so it's one of a word that Luke alone uses. It means to insist. It's got that iskuros, that's strong, to insist firmly, to maintain firmly, to maintain strongly. So someone else insisting, was insisting, saying, ep aletheas, in truth also this man was with him, for he is a Galilean. And I think one of the other Gospels says that it's his accent, it's his dialect, his speech that gives him away as being a Galilean. Apen deho Petros anthropo uk oida hot leges. So Peter said, "O man, I do not know what you are saying, what you're talking about." Kai paracrema eti laluntes autu ephonesin elector. Paracrema is an adverb, immediately, and we get another genitive absolute. While he was still speaking, the rooster made a noise. The cock crowed, or the rooster crowed. Kai straphes hokurios eneblepsin to Petro. And the Lord, having turned, looked at Peter. Now, one is not sure about what this means here, because they've taken him off into the house of the chief priest. Was he still visible to Peter at this point, that Jesus is able to actually stare at him, to see him? Kai hupimnes de hopetros tu rematos tu kuriou hos apenauto hoti prin electori phonesai, and then it's semeron apenese metris. And Peter recalled from, this is from hupa mimnesco is the verb. So Peter recalled, and it takes a genitive, partitive genitive, the word of the Lord that he, that's Jesus, said auto to him, to Peter, and then inverted commas, before the cock crows, and it's semeron, today, ap enese metris, you will deny me 3 times. Kai ex elthon exo eklausen pikros, and having gone out, he wept bitterly. Next little section again is from it's from Matthew and Mark. This is the mocking and beating of Jesus. Kai hoi andres hoi sunecontes auton enepaidzon auto derontes. Kai perikalupsantes auton ep eraton legontes. Prophetuson tis estin hopaisa se. Kai hetera hola blasphemuntes elegant es auton. And the men, those, now sun echo has again a wide range of meaning, something like guarding, I think here, so holding him. So the ones guarding him began to mock, from empaisto, began to mock him, it's taking a dative after the N here. Derontes, dero is to beat. Matthew and Mark have much stronger word. Colaphisdo is the other word used in Matthew and Mark, which is, it's a much more vicious word. It has the sense of to slap, but to really knock around. Dero is just, well, it's not very pleasant, but it's a slightly weaker word meaning to beat. Luke doesn't like too much violence, I think, so he just says they were making fun of him, beating him. Kai perikalupsan tes auton, and they having, oh yeah, that's right, they put something, they'd put something over his head so that he couldn't see, so having blindfolded him, as it were, so it's covering him around, so perhaps having blindfolded him. This is ep erotao, they began to ask him, saying, Prophetuson, aorist imperative, prophesy, who is the one beating you, from paisto? From some pio, to strike, not paisto, from pio, I think, to strike. Who is the one striking you? Yet another word for strike. Kai hetera, and blaspheming in many other ways, they were speaking to him. And the last little section of this chapter is Jesus now before the council. This is in Matthew, Mark, and John. Kai hos egeneto hemera sun ekthe ton presbyterion tu lau archichires te kai grammates kai epagagon auton es to Synedrion auton. And when it became day, the presbyterion, the council of elders and of the people to Lau, was gathered from aorist passive from son ago, the chief priests and the scribes, and they led him off into their Synedrion, into their council. Legontes, saying, Asu a ho Christos, apon arton, heimin, saying, if you are, and it's very emphatic, you, the Messiah, apon heimin, this is the imperative, speak it to us, tell us. Apenda artois, and he said to them, Ean humin apo ume pistusete, if I might tell you, if I might speak to you, you in no way would believe. It's ume plus the subjunctive for a strong negation. Ean de eroteso ume hypocrithete, and if I ask, you will not answer. Apot nun de estai hovios tu anthropou kathemenos ekdexion tes dunamios tu theou. But from now on, apotunon, to nun, the Son of Man will be, and we're getting a future periphrastic here, will be seated, ekdexion, well, it's idiomatic. This is a quotation, of course, from the Psalm 110, will be seated on the right hand of the power of God. Apendepantes, and all of them said, Su un e hopios tu theou, hode prosautos efe humes legati hoti ego ami. It's a question, are you therefore the Son of God? Now he's used the word here, the Son of Man, and they misquote him back as, are you the Son of God? And he said to them, you say that I am. Now again, of course, there's always this double meaning about ego eimi and the divine name here, but I'll leave that to the commentators to discuss. Hoide apan, and they said, ti eti echomen maturias crean. What still do we have need of witness? So why do we still have any need of a witness? Autoi ga ekusamen apotus stomatus autu, for we have heard from his own mouth. And that is the end of chapter 22.